So, welcome back. We have already completed the digestive system and the process of digestion in Nereis. The next two systems we are going to discuss in this video, it is respiratory system and the circulatory system. Nereis, they don't have any specialized respiratory organs like gills or any other such special organs. However, respiration is brought about by the whole body surface. So the whole body surface acts like a respiratory surface. Okay, and more specifically, we can see the respiratory surface is more what you call efficient or effective by the thin, flattened lobes of parapodia. And these parapodia, they possess an extensive capillary networks lying very close to the surface. Okay, this is the circulatory system, but here you can see these are the lobes of the parapodia, and the membrane is very thin, and just close to the thin surface you can see highly branched capillary network. So this actually helps it to function as a very efficient respiratory surface. Then we can see that the blood running through these capillary networks gives up carbon dioxide collected from the tissues, and in turn it receives oxygen dissolved in the surrounding water. So it is a gaseous exchange. It takes place through the skin. Okay, the water, it is like constantly renewed. It lives in the burrow, isn't it? So water has to be constantly renewed, and this is done by the gentle dorsoventral undulations of the body, and this causes a steady water current through the burrow. Okay, steady current or steady flow of water is maintained with the help of the dorsoventral undulations of the body when it is inside the burrow. Okay, so this is about the respiration. Since there is no extensive respiratory structures involved, it's very simple respiratory system. Regarding the circulatory system, the circulatory system, it consists of okay, whenever we look into the circulatory system of a well-developed circulatory system, it comes under different heads. One is obviously the fluid which is circulated. It is blood, right? And then the vessels through which the blood passes when it is an open or when it is a closed circulatory system. Okay, so here blood is a medium. It consists of the blood fluid tissue, the blood, which circulates throughout the body through a system of blood vessels, right? So since the blood always remain flowing through vessels, it could be capillaries, or it could be the blood vessels as such. So it is confined into vessels. It never comes in direct contact with the tissues, and hence such kind of a circulatory system, it is known as a closed type, as against open type where the blood flows through open sinuses. Okay, so here it is closed type of circulatory system, and hence the blood flows through closed tubes, and which we refer as the blood vessels or the capillaries. Now, regarding the blood, blood consists of plasma, the fluid medium, and this plasma, you can see numerous nucleated, colorless blood cells. They are amoeboid cells, and in the plasma, you can find dissolved hemoglobin. Okay, invertebrate hemoglobin, it is also referred as erythrochroin. And unlike human beings, where the hemoglobin is present inside the blood corpuscles, here the plasma contains the hemoglobin dissolved in it, and this hemoglobin, it acts as the respiratory pigment, and also it imparts red coloration to the blood. The blood circulates throughout the body and brings about transportation of gases, nutrients, excretory materials, etc. Okay, now regarding blood vessels, when we speak about the blood vessels in the case of Nereis, on the basis of their functional activity, the blood vessels are of two types: distributing vessels and collecting vessels. Distributing vessels, they distribute, as the name suggests, they distribute the blood to different parts of the body, while collecting vessels, they collect blood from different parts of the body. Distributing vessels communicate with the collecting vessels by means of fine network of capillaries. Okay, so there are two kinds of vessels: the distributing and the collecting vessels. Distributing vessels, as the name suggests, it actually distributes blood to different parts of the body, almost like arteries, right? And collecting vessels, they collect blood from different parts of the body, just like the veins, what they do. And these two kinds of vessels, they intercommunicate by way of fine network of capillaries. Right. The vessels, they have muscular walls, and the constant blood circulation is maintained by the peristaltic waves passing over the walls of the large blood vessels. Right. So there are two different kinds of blood vessels with respect on the basis of their the functions, the functional activity. Okay. Now there are main three longitudinal blood vessels in Nereis: the dorsal blood vessel, the ventral blood vessel, and the neural blood vessel. Okay. Regarding the dorsal blood vessel, uh, the dorsal blood vessel runs above the alimentary canal. Okay, this is the dorsal blood vessel. It runs longitudinally above the alimentary canal, and this is the alimentary canal. While the ventral blood vessel, it runs below the uh, alimentary canal, or ventral to the alimentary canal. Okay. Regarding the dorsal blood vessel, it extends from the posterior end forward till the fifth segment. Okay, so it extends uh, between the posterior most end till the fifth segment. Okay, so its walls are highly contractile, surrounded at several places by rings of muscles. So the muscular contractions, it helps in creating peristaltic waves from the posterior to the anterior, and this pushes the blood or drives the blood from posterior towards the anterior direction. Okay, and behind the esophagus, we can find that this dorsal vessel, it acts like a collecting vessel, receiving blood from the body wall, from the parapodia, from nephridia, from different parts of the alimentary canal, etc. At the esophagus, the dorsal vessel, it divides, it bifurcates. Okay, and each of the branch, it forms a capillary network to supply the esophageal wall. And hence here it is supplying blood to the esophageal wall, isn't it? So it is no longer a collecting vessel, but instead it is a distributing vessel. Is it clear? That is, in the case of dorsal vessel, okay, this is the animal. Okay, this is the anterior end and the posterior end over here, right? And just imagine this is the esophagus. This part is the esophagus. Okay, the alimentary canal, right? Okay. Now what happens is the dorsal vessel, it extends. Just let me change the color. Okay, so it extends from the posterior to the anterior till the esophagus. This is how it passes. Okay, all along its length, it collects blood. Blood is collected by the dorsal blood vessel from various parts of the body, from various organs of the alimentary canal, from parapodia, from nephridia, even from the body wall. Okay, so it is a collecting vessel all along. The blood flows in this direction from from posterior to the anterior. At the what you call esophagus region, what happens is it divides into two. Okay, it divides into two, one onto the other side, one to this side. Okay, left and right side. So, okay, and there it supplies the esophageal wall. I told this is the esophagus, isn't it? So it supplies esophageal wall. So what happens? The blood is distributed onto the esophageal wall. So till here it was collecting vessel, and at this junction the dorsal blood vessel, it acts like a distributing vessel. Okay, so blood from the capillary network in the esophageal wall is collected by a single median vessel which opens into the ventral vessel. Okay, so what's the point? So here you can see another vessel, it collects the blood from the esophageal wall, and this opens into the ventral vessel. Okay, so the ventral vessel, it extends from the anterior to the posterior end, and the blood flows in this direction, opposite to how it is flowing in the dorsal vessel. So ventral vessel, as we have already seen, it runs mid-ventrally below the alimentary canal, almost the entire length of the body. Its walls have little contractility as against the dorsal blood vessel, and hence peristaltic waves do not push the blood through it. Blood flows in it from the anterior to the posterior end, and it is a distributing vessel except at the anterior end. Okay, here it is collecting the blood, isn't it? So at this point, it is a collecting vessel, but beyond this, till the posterior end, it is a distributing vessel. Okay, it distributes the blood till the last segment. Okay, and in the last segment, it communicates with the dorsal vessel by way of a circumrectal ring. Circumrectal, that is at the rectal region, the dorsal and the ventral vessel intercommunicates. Okay, and there is a nerve ring around the rectal region that through this these two vessels communicates. I hope that is clear. Okay, so circumrectal ring, it helps in communicating the dorsal vessel with the ventral vessel at the posterior region. Right. So the dorsal vessel and the ventral vessel are connected on either side by a pair of loop-like transverse vessel in each segment. So we have seen there is a circumrectal vessel which helps in communicating these two. Other than that, at each segment, the dorsal vessel and the ventral vessels, they are interconnected by a pair of transverse vessels. Okay, so there are transverse vessels which communicate the dorsal vessel with the ventral vessel. Okay, and these are known as lateral vessels as well. Except the first 5 segments, the rest of the segments do have these transverse vessels. Okay, these are also known as commissural vessels, and this take the blood from the ventral. As already mentioned, ventral vessel, it is a distributing vessel, isn't it? From the ventral vessel to the dorsal vessel. That is how the blood is flowing. Okay, so the ventral vessel, it may supply to various parts of the body, and from these body parts, some other vessels may carry the blood to the dorsal vessel. So it is not direct passage of blood from the ventral to the dorsal, but ventral vessel distributes blood to various parts of the body. From those parts, the blood is collected and then poured into the dorsal blood vessels. So that is how the whole circulation is made. So first, they take the blood to the body wall, parapodia, nephridia, by efferent cutaneous, efferent parapodial, and efferent this one, nephridial vessels. You can see parapodial capillaries, right? Likewise, nephridial capillaries are there. Then this on the cutaneous, on the skin, it is there, on the body wall. Okay, and then from here the blood is collected from these organs by efferent cutaneous, efferent parapodial, and efferent nephridial vessels that opens into the dorsal vessel. Okay, so I hope that part is clear, right? That is, you have the ventral vessel. Okay, ventral vessel, it supply body wall. You have the body wall, right, through efferent cutaneous. Okay, then it supplies nephridia through efferent nephridial capillaries. Okay, it may supply maybe like the parapodium through efferent parapodial capillaries. Okay, and from here the blood may be collected. Okay, so these are the body parts. Okay, by efferent parapodial capillaries. So blood is flowing in this direction. Okay, then through the efferent nephridial, the blood is collected from the nephridia and from the body wall through efferent cutaneous. Okay, oh sorry, cutaneous, and it is given to the dorsal vessel. Okay, so that is how the blood is getting transported. Okay, so afferent and the efferent vessels, they are joined by an extensive network of capillaries, and in each segment blood is getting transported from the ventral towards the dorsal, right? So that is about the dorsal and the ventral vessels. Now there is a third set of vessel, that is the neural vessel, and the neural vessel, it runs ventrally surrounding the nerve cord. You can see this is the ventral nerve cord, and surrounding the nerve cord you can find the perineural vessel. Okay, it collects blood from the ventral body wall.